Ah, the long, bitter nights of Yule, where the cold winds cut through the forests of Scandinavia, and the northern lights cast eerie shadows across the snow-covered land. The people of these harsh lands have always known that Yule is not just a celebration, it's a time of reckoning. Winter's wrath is not to be mocked, for the darkest night of the year is also the night when the wild hunt rides. Now, in the small village of Voss, nestled deep in the Norwegian mountains, Yule was a time for family, feasting, and stories. The fire crackled in the hearth, the smell of roasted lamb filled the air, and the children, wide-eyed, listened to tales of the Votir, spirits, and Huldra, the seductive forest folk who roamed the dark forests. But among the elders, there was always one story that made the bravest men pause. The tale of the wild hunt, a ghostly procession led by Odin himself, or sometimes his dark counterpart, Høtte. It was said that those who saw the hunt were claimed by it, destined to join the procession for eternity. But Erik, a young man in the village, was a skeptic. He laughed at the old tales, finding them nothing more than bedtime stories to keep children from wandering too far into the forests. Erik was a hunter, as strong and stubborn as the pines that grew around his home. "These stories are for the weak," he would say, slinging his bow over his shoulder. "If I can survive in the wild, I can survive anything." On the night of Yule, when the sky was dark as pitch and the stars shone cold and distant, Erik decided to test his belief. The villagers were gathered in the hall singing Julesanger, Yule carols, and celebrating. But Erik, ever the loner, slipped into the forest. "Let them sing their tales of ghosts and spirits," he muttered. "I'll bring back a deer for the feast." The woods were silent as death. The snow fell in thick, suffocating layers, muffling his footsteps. But as he pressed deeper into the forest, a sudden chill swept over him, colder than any winter wind. The air felt different, as if something ancient and unforgiving was watching him from the shadows. Then there came a sound, low at first, a distant horn. Erik's heart skipped a beat. The Gjallarhorn, it was called, the horn of the dead, blown by the rider of the wild hunt. He paused, his breath caught in his throat. The wind seemed to freeze around him, and the trees stood still, as though they too were listening. Suddenly he heard the hooves. It was as though the earth itself had come alive. The sound of skeletal horses thundering through the snow. Erik turned to face the source, his hand gripping his bow. But what he saw made his blood run cold. A procession of riders appeared before him, their horses' bones gleaming with a spectral light. Their cloaks were dark as night, and their eyes, pale, empty sockets, glowed with an otherworldly fire. Their leader was an enormous figure, his beard white as the snow, his cloak shimmering like the northern lights themselves. But it wasn't Odin. No, this was Høtte, the one who rides to claim those who dare to defy the ancient rules. His hollow gaze met Erik's, and with a single pointed finger, he gestured toward the young hunter. Duhar tapped. Høtte's voice boomed, a rumble like thunder. "You have lost." Erik tried to move, but his legs felt like stone. His muscles froze, and the forest around him seemed to close in. The riders circled him, their horses' hooves leaving burning marks on the snow as they passed. The leader beckoned again, and the sleigh, a monstrous vehicle made of twisted bones, dropped from the sky, its wheels spinning in the air. Erik couldn't look away. He had heard the stories, of course, but never had he believed they could be true. The sleigh touched the ground with a sickening screech, the bones grinding against the earth, and without warning, Erik was lifted, his feet no longer touching the snow. The cold rushed at him like a tide, filling his lungs, numbing his soul. He tried to scream, but no sound came. He could only see the hollow eyes of Høtte as the sleigh turned, speeding off into the night sky, leaving nothing but a trail of smoke in its wake. By morning, the villagers found Erik's boots, frozen to the ground deep in the forest, where the snow had formed a strange pattern, like skeletal hoofprints leading to nowhere. But Erik was gone, as if swallowed by the very darkness that had claimed him. All that remained was a pile of ash, scattered on the cold, untouched snow. The village elders spoke in hushed tones, for they knew the truth. Erik had seen the wild hunt, and now he was part of it. The hunt claimed those who denied the old ways, those who scoffed at the spirits of the earth and sky. And in the long, cold nights that followed, when the wind howled through the trees, the villagers swore they could hear the faint echo of a horn in the distance, a mournful sound, as if it were calling to them, beckoning them to join Erik in the eternal procession. So beware on Yule night, when the moon hangs high and the winds fall silent. If you hear the Galahorn, if you see shadows in the trees, remember the tale of Erik. For the wild hunt does not forget, and it rides again, its sleigh pulled by bone and shadow, claiming those who dare to mock the ancient ways. The hunt has room for all.